got to be honest with you. I've just finished doing the review with Gio, and obviously I heard what Gio had to say, and I read a lot of the comments. And I can't be quite as disappointed as so many seem to be about that. I think, given the context of what we do have at the moment, which is not only an injury crisis, but a bit of a bug going round everyone, I think that's not a bad point away from home, particularly given quite how bad that defence was. Overall, I think it was hard to take individual positives from it, but I am going to take 2 or 3. However, I do think collectively we come away with a point. It's another game unbeaten. We're in a nice little run at the moment. And it's not just sometimes you look at the statistics from a game and they tell a lie. Gio said 14 corners, 24 shots on target, whatever it was, something like that. No, sorry, not 24 shots on goal, should I say, not shots on target. It felt that way. It felt like there was an immense amount of pressure from us. And as I said in the review, I thought it was a game of 2 halves. They were better first half. Us second half. Quite frankly, I thought we were so bad in the first half that I thought we were going to get thumped by a lot of goals. So to only concede 1, then to come back and finish the stronger team and score a nice goal, I'll happily take it. I also thought it was a really weird performance, not just from the referee, but maybe from the 4th officials as well. Just a lot of sort of half gripes about handballs and throw-ins and penalties that weren't given. For both sides, by the way, I don't think it was a great performance by them. However, as I mentioned, I'm not overly disappointed with him. I am thrilled with the way Scamacca played. Absolutely thrilled. He's not scored today, but I'm as pleased with that as I have been about anything else that I've seen from him, really. And I know that's a weird thing to say again, because I think sometimes when you've got a poacher, that they'll nick a goal. But you might think, okay, well, they need sort of God's grace and with a fair wind, with a lot of ammunition into the box to score their goals. But maybe if they're not playing so well, they're not going to do anything. I'll tell you what, Scamacca's all-round game today was excellent. The way he drifted out wide, the way he dropped deep, the way he attacked the ball. The way he's just desperate to have a shot. He'll do so quickly. He's going to score a lot of surprise goals. When a lot of defenders or goalkeepers are going to expect him to take a touch, he's just going to hit it. And I thought he was so good. His long-range passing, the way he would drop deep and switch play was excellent. But it's not so much leadership qualities, but his desire to win and the way he articulates himself on the pitch with that. Now, that's going to come across as stroppy on a lot of occasions. It absolutely is. I don't mind that. We've seen it all before. We had it with Paolo. This is just what happens. And I think when you rate yourself that highly, you need a certain amount of arrogance. And I will go back to the point where he was absolutely screaming at Southampton. Because it just wasn't good enough. The standards he sets are just not good enough, and that won't do it. It would not surprise me at all if... I'm sure all the players speak with a manager on separate occasions. I would not be surprised at all if when he has a little one-on-one meeting with a manager, Scamacca, if he turns around and says, you've got to do something about that supply line from the right-hand side, it's not good enough. Because at the moment, it feels like that high line, that aerial ball, a lot of that stuff is only going to come at him with any accuracy from the left-hand side, which is generally going to be Cresswell, who is having an amazing season. He really is. This would probably be the 3rd time I've thought that Cresswell's probably done now and we've seen the best of him. I'll tell you what, he's in really, really good form. But anyway, back to the problem with the supply hand from the right-hand side. It's just not good enough. If you're going to have these technical players in your team, particularly like Scamacca, and I will include Paqueta as well in this because I felt as the game went on, he was getting closer and closer to Scamacca. In fact, Scamacca actually set Paqueta up for a header, which he will feel he should have done better with. He was relatively, 8 to 10 yards out. He'll feel he should have done better. I think it's just sort of shaved the post. But if you're going to get these technical players in, what you can't have is these gaping holes in your team where there is no technique. And I'm sorry to say it, there is just no technique from Southampton. I say that's cruel. So it's inaccurate. There's no technique. He's got tackling technique. He's got heading technique. There was a point where Adam Armstrong did him down the wing. It resulted in a corner. Now from the subsequent attack, he was at the back post. He had a little bit of a duel with Adam Armstrong. He actually won a really good defensive header away. He's not without any footballing qualities, Soufa. I'm not saying that. But when you want to start passing it around, when you want to start putting in really good deliveries because you've bought in a £35 million striker and a £50 million attacking midfielder, the delivery's got to be better. And it wouldn't surprise me if he demands that we do a little bit better than that. Before I go any further, this video is sponsored by the Spitch Fantasy Football app. I've not had a great weekend. All the results aren't in as yet. I'll tell you now, it's going to be 4-3. To me, I was 4-2. Me and Gio, he's going to have clawed it back. I know he is. In fact, I actually think Gio may well have won some money this week. And I shouldn't begrudge him that. That's quite mean of me. I don't. He can have all the money he wants. Just don't want him to beat me in the Hammers Chat mini league. In the paid game, what he's done is he's gone and put a £1.70 stake down. And it looks like he's going to win, by the looks of it, 50 quid from there. How can you get involved in the Spitch Fantasy Football app? Well, firstly, download it from the link below. You have got to be 18 and above because there is a gambling element to it. But there are up to £70,000 worth of cash prizes each and every game week. The great thing about the Spitch Fantasy Football app is it doesn't matter if you've been crap on all the previous game weeks. It starts fresh each time with a brand new team. Say brand new team, like brand new defence, wasn't it? Awful. I don't think David, this is another reason I think I'm a little bit more positive about it. I don't think David Moyes could have possibly predicted that Thilo Kehrer would have played that badly. It was awful. He was awful. I was suspicious at the start. He wasn't quite robust. Big enough, chunky enough, strong enough, tall enough, whatever it is. A physical, dominant central defender. And there was a couple of people who said, hold on, he's all right, he's 6'1". He may well be 6'1", I don't know. But what he is, he's not someone with a big, powerful frame. He's not going to dominate. He's not dominating in the air. And the fact of the matter is, I don't care what his physical stats are. Che Adams was stronger than him. And that'll do for me. That's enough to demonstrate that he is not that guy. He's not that guy that's going to stand in the middle and defend in a robust way. Because I tell you what, Che Adams isn't stronger than Dawson. He isn't stronger than Ogbonna. He isn't stronger than Kurt Zouma. And I think that was the problem, particularly for a team like West Ham. This is not Ten Hag at Man United who's going to get away with having the defence built around somebody who's a ball player and someone fast. The fulcrum and the centre of the defence has got to be a robust, aggressive defender who loves defending, who's going to stay in and around, almost doesn't move from within the parameters of the two posts of the goal. I mean, he was getting drawn out wide. I was thinking, what are you doing? Why are you out wide there? Because they're just going to cross the ball in, and we've got no one in there, leaving poor old Ben Johnson to it, who, to be fair to him, who's a really good player for us, who's going to be really valuable in terms of all the positions he can play. But the last thing you want is one solitary defender in that box to head the ball clear, and it's going to be Ben Johnson. No. Again, Ben Johnson's another one. He looks good when there's someone next to him. And it just kept on deserting him, Kehrer did, which I thought was, was a little bit annoying, to say the least. I also want to talk about Paqueta as well. I found him quite frustrating early on in the game, but he gradually started to grow into it and got a little bit better. And I am pleased. It's another reason I'm pleased. I'm pleased David Moyes persevered with him. There are a number of things that frustrated me in the game, particularly the first half. It was terrible. But by the end of the game and by the time it had gone, I thought actually he's clearly determined to integrate Paqueta into the team. I was worried he was going to sub him off and put Ben Rama on instead, but he didn't. He kept Paqueta on and put Ben Rama on. I thought that was good. And I just thought the longer it went on, we saw more and more quality from him. I still think he's lacking that little bit of snap, that little bit of... It's not bite, because I'm not suggesting it's about his tackling and work rate and stuff like that. I mean... I want him to do what he does a little bit more quickly. That being said, he does pass the ball really quickly. I've really enjoyed the way he set up Scamacca in the second half. Really early, sort of lofted through ball. They're clearly developing a partnership, those two. And just Scamacca, I know I said at the start of the video, Scamacca just looks dangerous, doesn't he? He really does. One thing I was less impressed with was when Paqueta tried to play a first-time pass to Emerson, and Emerson wasn't even looking. Emerson was like, a pass came from there. And then he just looked, honestly, I was half asleep. But, oh my goodness. And it's that point I started to appreciate maybe in that game that Emerson wasn't going to have the best one. I thought initially at the start of the game he was going to play well because, if you remember, Scamacca again set Emerson up for a shot and he moved in field, quite well. But I didn't think he had a great game. David Moyes, as I mentioned, in the review. David Moyes, I think, wants to press ahead with this 3, whatever it is. I honestly, the wing-back system, I don't know what formation we're playing, because sometimes you look at it and Cresswell's at wing-back and sometimes it's left centre-back. Whatever it is he wants to play, you're going to have better wing-backs, right? You've got to have, particularly on that right-hand side, he's going to need to do it. I just don't think we've got the personnel to do it at the moment. Even if what he wants to do is Soufal, who was poor, as you know, because I've already said it, he has another option there. I don't think Ben Johnson's really good enough to play wing-back. There's too much offensive responsibility on it. Tilo Kehrer as well, I'm just not sure. Again, I think a good player, really good utility defender. I think Kehrer looks excellent when he's playing next to Zuma. But, and I mean, as a centre-back there, as a right wing-back, the irony is, I think the best person we've got to play right wing-back in the whole squad is probably Harrison Ashby. But, I mean, your guess is as good as mine as to what's going on with that one. Anyway, overall, wasn't the most entertaining game, but we had a lot of opportunities. We had a lot of corners, a massive room for improvement. I'm not saying we were brilliant, but I just when I read some of the comments on the review straight away after, there's a lot of doom and gloom, and I didn't quite share it. It was frustrating. We could have got more. We should have got more. End of the season, I do wonder if, we might look at this, particularly we were absolutely decimated with defenders, particularly if we get for the Liverpool game possibly Zuma and or Dawson back, and we get something at Anfield. We may well look back and think, actually, when we had a bug running through the squad, when we had a decimated defence, maybe a point away at Southampton is not the worst result in the world.